Okay then, we have a lot of news to cover since last week. First off, let's discuss the Nintendo Switch event, and of course all the Breath of the Wild stuff that came with it. So before we recount new information that came out of the wake of this week, is it possible that we can discern a pattern on what kind of new information Nintendo will release leading up to the launch of the new Zelda? Well, that is also another tricky question to answer. It's Monday again. Zelda Breath of the Wild news is here. So let's get right into it. Talking about the trailer for a bit, especially in a general sense, Breath of the Wild might be one of the more story-intensive games in the franchise, along with the fact it is the first game in the series to fully implement voice acting, a change that I wholeheartedly welcome, especially over the talking Goron. Breath of the Wild is also a game that fosters a really ambient mood. No kidding, the sheer amount of ambience found in the game I think really flushes out the atmosphere. To some degree, it kind of reminds me of Metroid. Speaking of which, the composer of the Animal Crossing franchise, Manaka Kataoka, is actually composing Breath of the Wild score, which is another change I wholeheartedly welcome. Segueing over to the gameplay, we have seen more treehouse footage dealing with the new shrines, but the pinnacle of the footage lays in the game's horse mechanics. As far as we know, there won't be a Epona in the game. Well, kind of. In Breath of the Wild, Link can just go ahead and capture a horse he encounters in the wild. Once he tames it, he can then customize it in a local stable. Additionally, each horse has different stats and are customizable, so theoretically you could just capture a random horse and call it Epona. Moving on, we did get new amiibos or amiibai, not sure what the plural term for that is. But anyways, we did see a new Bokoblin and Zelda amiibo. While we didn't really get to see what they do in-game just yet, we will probably know soon enough. More on that later in this video. Speaking of which, we did get more information about pre-existing amiibo. So unless I am mistaken, so far there are 5 amiibo coming out for this one game. 2 Links, the Guardian, Zelda, and the Bokoblin variant. Now, Nintendo is just going all in for this game and I love it. Also, whoever is watching this, do you guys think that Nintendo will announce even more amiibo for the game? I mean, 5 so far is already setting a precedent, but I won't really complain if more are announced. Then again, scalpers will probably just go in and buy them all and sell them at eBay for a higher price. Oh wait, and that kind of reminds me, apparently the hype is getting so intense that the special and master edition of the game is getting sold out everywhere. Apparently, people are even listing them up on resale sites. Also on that note, yep, Breath of the Wild is getting special editions. No shocker there. Now there are 2 editions, the Special and Master variant. The Master Edition comes with the game, a Sheikah Slate carrying case for the Switch, the Sheikah Eye Coin that was around at E3, a relic of Hyrule Calamity Ganon Tapestry, the soundtrack of the title, and a statue of the Master Sword. The Special Edition, on the other hand, comes with pretty much everything except for the Master Sword statue. Now, apparently these items are being sold out everywhere in terms of pre-orders. So if you guys are looking to get these, I would definitely recommend seeking them out sooner rather than later. Who knows how much the price of these editions will go up as scalpers come in. Speaking of which, I really need to get around pre-ordering them myself. Now, that kind of reminds me. Breath of the Wild will be releasing simultaneously with the Switch on March 3rd, a point I actually speculated will occur in the last video. Also, before I forget, apparently there is a graphical difference between the Wii U and Switch versions of Breath of the Wild. The Switch version will have a higher resolution or something of the sort, which I think is more of an incentive to get it on the Switch rather than the Wii U. And talking about the Switch version, there is word that a special Switch bundle with Breath of the Wild will release at launch, complete with a special edition of the Switch tablet, which looks pretty sick and will probably also be subject to scalpers, so watch out for those pre-orders if you can. So now that we have discussed some of the bigger points of Breath of the Wild news, let's properly analyze all this information. What Nintendo did at the Switch event is properly introducing the Switch to the general public. By that token, we can make a fair prediction that when we see more information about the Switch leading up to launch, in turn we will also see more Breath of the Wild information. So in that context, what can we expect for the future of Breath of the Wild news going forward? Well, like before, Nintendo will probably release more screenshots leading up to the March 3rd release. Also, a month or so prior to launch, Nintendo will release more info about new bundles. Around this time, around February, I am betting we will see more trailers leading up to launch. Also, around this time period, we will probably see an unprecedented amount of marketing for the Nintendo Switch. I also suspect that around February, that we will learn what exactly do these amiibo do in the game, or what they might do, since Nintendo will probably would want to market these amiibo more along with their functionality, kind of like what they did for the Wolf Link amiibo. Also, on a separate note, I do think that Breath of the Wild will not be the last Zelda game of its kind. Nintendo has a track record of reusing assets from previous games, especially for Zelda. Majora's Mask took assets from Ocarina, Twilight Princess used the same engine as Wind Waker, Triforce Heroes took assets from A Link Between Worlds, and so on. I am pretty confident that Nintendo, as we speak, are currently making another Zelda game or planning it in a much similar vein as Breath of the Wild. Whether that be in a new game or a downloadable expansion. Remember how Kimishima at the Switch event announced a paid service for internet support on the system? I think that this is a sign that Nintendo is getting more into the digital gaming market. DLC for Breath of the Wild on that end may be a given. On that note, I want to say that the Nintendo Switch will receive more DLC support than the Wii U version, but that is just pure speculation on my part. So, what do you guys think? Do you want to see DLC for Breath of the Wild? Do you think we will see another Zelda game that will reuse assets from that game? Personally, I am up for it. What I am most excited for the new Zelda is the sheer amount of ambition placed into that game, whether it be the gameplay, story, atmosphere, and lore. But what are you guys most excited for in Breath of the Wild? I asked around in Twitter to hear your thoughts. I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing this right, but she says he's excited for the unbounded exploration and breakable equipment. To which Zelda Dungeon replies, would I have been uncreative in saying the dungeons? I am actually really curious about the dungeons myself. Are all the dungeons within the game reserved to Sheikah shrines, or are there more stuff in store? Nick says the grass, and followed up by saying the story seems decent, but the grass is what really caught my attention. Same here, man. And Ba-I-Zed, I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing that right, says if Link and Zelda have more than a friendship and ally thing going on. Yeah, I think something like that is going to happen. These two have been pretty close in the trailers after all, but what do you guys think? Also, special thanks goes to AJ Hero 43 for contributing news for this Monday. Also, if you have anything you want to add regarding Breath of the Wild, comment below with a source, and I will feature your name in next Monday's video. And that reminds me, you might have noticed that I barely went over the lore and hidden details found within the new trailers. The reason for that is because I'm saving all of that juicy information for a Zelda theory coming up this Wednesday, and it's gonna be a big one. The theory on Wednesday will be followed up by a Mario theory regarding the new Mario Odyssey on Friday. And of course, episode 3 of Zelda news will be out on the following Monday. That being said, if you guys want a quick fix on some Breath of the Wild lore information, check out this recent discussion that we just posted, where we talk about the Zora and the Gorons, and especially Queen Rutella of Twilight Princess's role in it. Also, on a last note, I am streaming the Fire Emblem Direct on the 18th. I am a huge Fire Emblem fan, so we will be covering it. In short, we will probably see more info about Fire Emblem Warriors, and we might see a new Fire Emblem mobile game in which Nintendo has alluded to in the past. And maybe, just maybe, we will see a new Fire Emblem mainline title. That being said, what would you guys think of making a Fire Emblem new series here? Any thoughts? Well, it's time for me to head on out now. Please like, comment, and subscribe if you're new. Till then, this is the video of the day.
Here you go, Ed. Here you go, Andy. I'm also giving it to Christian.
Oh my! Hold on. Oh my god!